Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of the WCW 2000 save here on Total Extreme Wrestling 9. We are booking some Nitro today, some Thunder today, and going over what the world's doing currently. Before I go into it further though, I'm recording this on the 10th of July, so it's just before episode 4 comes out, just to try and get ahead of myself a little bit. And the support so far has been insane. I really don't know what to say. Like, this is a small channel, this is something I just do for a bit of a laugh. And you guys have really enjoyed, apparently, the first episode at least. And this, like, the second episode's already over 100, episode 3's nearing 100. It's pretty good, so thanks so much for all your watching, all the support. The few comments as well that we've had, including one that we'll go over very shortly in a moment as well. But first things first, let's have a look at what happened at the Royal Rumble last night. And as you can see, The Rock won a 30 wrestler Royal Rumble match to win the Royal Rumble. Simple enough. The Big Show beat Jeff Hardy by DQ in the WWF title match, which, okay. Big Boss Man defeating Christian. A truly hideous sounding match of Stephanie McMahon defeating the Fabulous Moolah. And of course, to open up the show, we had, a Val Venus headbanger thrash match near the start of the show in a cage. I don't know what's going on here. Terrible show, 66 overall as well, so the public hated it, I hated it, you hated it, we all hated it. But that's the WWF, they don't matter to us anymore. I mean, they've signed Mike Enos and Glacier and Terry Gordy, because why not? But we're going to book some Nitro and Thunder. Now, it's been about a week since I last recorded, so apologies if I'm a bit rusty, my voice is a bit sore as well. But we've currently lost nearly 2 million. So we're going to lose quite a big chunk of money. We've got 2 tapings left, and I think we've also got... I didn't mean to click that, but I didn't actually know I did that. We've got, I think, at least one more Nitro to go this month, because obviously it'll be the 31st of January. So it's a very heavy month on TV. As you can see, I mean, we've got quite a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, that's enough of that. We're going to book some Nitro, and I'll quickly bar it worldwide as well, and then we are going to see what we can do. So we've got some continuation of last episode. Obviously we had Ric Flair being a bit of a coward in the WCW World title match, and Chris Benoit obviously defeating Jeff Jarrett to retain the US title. And then on Thunder we had the Revolution retaining the tag titles, Benoit defending against Shane Douglas, Canyon defending against Duggan, and our sort of main event was a bit of a throwaway. It was not a great show. DDP defeating the Total Package, and we're building towards what Randy Savage's plan is. So I'm going to go book Nitro, and I'll see you at the start of the episode. Okay, it's time for Nitro, and once again we are starting off with a very familiar theme of Sting arriving to the arena with the World Heavyweight title until he makes his way straight to the ring, so nice little backstage to the ring walk sort of situation. And he immediately demands Randy Savage makes an appearance right here, right now. After a little bit of stalling, Savage's voice is then heard like over the speakers, and the spotlight eventually finds him up in the rafters. Quite convenient that, isn't it? And he tells Sting that his days are numbered and that very, very soon all will become clear. Sting, however, should be careful where he goes, as Savage has eyes everywhere and Sting doesn't know who he can trust. I admit this is being very vague, but trust me, there is a conclusion coming to this. Soon. Not this episode, but soon. He got a 60 overall, which is pretty good. Then we cut backstage to Mean Gene with Norman Smiley, and Smiley says tonight is finally going to be the night. He's going to lose the cursed WCW Hardcore title, and he's picked one of the toughest men in the back as his opponent. He's very happy about this. Mean Gene just looks confused, doesn't know what the hell is going on, but Smiley happy to finally be gone of this title. We're then still backstage as Harlem Heat are gearing up for their match tonight when Stevie Ray asks Booker if he's ever thought about going it alone. Stevie says he knows he's getting older and he doesn't want to be the man holding his brother back. Booker tells Stevie no chance. While he has certain dreams, he's never turning his back on family. Nice little 45 promo there. I mean, eventually it's not a spoiler that Harlem Heat will be splitting up, because duh. but I'm hoping that we can do something fun along the way. We did have one last little segment as Buff Bagwell spots Roddy Piper backstage and catches up to him and they have a brief chat about their plans going forward and says it's only a matter of time before their luck starts to turn around. Piper says it's been fun and he's sure that big things are coming for them soon. 38 overall. And then we finally have a match. It has simmered the crowd down, unfortunately. But Norman Smiley retains the World Hardcore Championship by defeating The Wall in 5.5 minutes with a roll-up. Now, you can't really pick fluky sort of falls in his opponent sort of win. But that's what happened, really. It wasn't some like grand roll-up plan. It was just a fluke win. Smiley wins. And he's handed the title. And he looks absolutely dejected to have been handed up to by the referee. He's once again looking at the ref like, oh, really? Have done it again? Oh my god. The crowd's obviously losing it. They're loving it. But once again, the lights flicker on and off, having an already Norman Smiley look, who's already scared, looks even more worried. I don't think it's a huge spoiler to like where I'm going with this. You can probably put 1 and 1 together and quite comfortably get 2. But good stuff from Smiley. I'm really enjoying booking Norman Smiley, actually. We then catch up with DDP, who's heading into Sting's locker room and he tells the camera guy to get out his face and shuts the door behind him. Then we cut to the break. And then back from the break. We come back to find DDP and Sting backstage. DDP says, well, it's obvious that everyone, including Sting, knows DDP wants that title. He's also a friend, and says he'll keep an eye on things with Sting tonight after Savage's fake threats. Sting appreciates it, but says he does have a match tonight, as does DDP, which I forgot to book, so that's fun. So they offered to come down to ringside for each other's match. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. 51 overall is pretty good. We then have a tag match as Harlem Heat defeat the Blue Bloods in 6 minutes when Booker T pins Steven Regal. Regal's leaving. So let's get some heat onto Booker T, who was the best guy in the match anyway. 40 overall. Backstage, we are with Mean Gene again. Sorry, in the ring, we're with Mean Gene. And he brings out Ric Flair. Flair mostly gets cheered, but there's a few audible boos from the crowd for him walking away last week when Sting was getting beat down by Savage. Mean Gene asks right away why Flair left. Flair repeats that he didn't actually know what was going on, but tonight he'll have the Stingers back. Flair, first though, he has a match and he's going to pretend it's Savage is in the ring with, just to prove to Sting and to the crowd that he's a guy. He's a hard man. 66 overall. His match gets a 63, which is pretty good, as Ric Flair defeats Rick Steiner in just under 8 minutes with the figure 4 leg lock. That's pretty much it. We're then backstage with a surprisingly poor segment, actually. Mean Gene's with Dustin Rhodes, who puts out a challenge to Chris Benoit for a US title match tonight. He did initially want to kick Jarrett's teeth down his throat, but while that can still happen down the road, he does want the US title. Benoit does appear and says, sure thing, he's a fighting champion. They can go right now if they want, but shake hands and head towards the ring. And they have their match, a 59 overall. Just, it's okay. Chris Benoit does defeat Dustin Rhodes in 8 minutes with the headbutt. He makes defense number 3 of the US title. And then after the match, he offers his hand to Dustin, they shake, but before anything else can happen, the NWO 2000 run down and take out the two men. Saturn and Malenko rush down to try save the day and somewhat succeed, but not before the damage has already been done. Nash gets on the mic and says next week, 4 on 4. They're fed up with these Revolution punks, they'll soften them up in an 8-man and then systematically take all of their titles. 48, I thought it would have been better. But it sets up a match on Thunder. Nitro next week, 4 on 4, the NWO versus the Revolution and Dustin Rhodes, which should be hopefully pretty good. We're then with Vampiro, who we haven't seen in a while, and Vampiro says he's been there for a few weeks but he feels re-energised and ready to win some serious gold here in WCW. It seems everyone is pretty busy, but he's noticed that there's someone masquerading around as a champion who's never earned it, and he challenges Canyon to a match on Thunder. I just figured I hadn't really used Vampiro. We then have the Total Package, who is injured, backstage looking at himself in the mirror and speaking to himself, almost trying to motivate himself. He says that this month hasn't been easy, but that's over with. Package says everyone seems to be having some kind of success around here, and it's time to take what's his as he nurses his injury. I didn't mean to put like a presumptive second full stop there. That's a mistake. But 61 though, Package is really good in interviews. which is surprising because he was pretty bad at this time. And then we have a match that apparently we've got gimmick changes because Lance Storm. I just realised this is Lance Storm's debut. Oops, I forgot he wasn't actually in the company. Anyway, Lance Storm defeats Buff Bagwell by submission, apparently, with the Canadian Maple Leaf after botched interference by Roddy Piper. So Bagwell was furious about losing this match. So that's why the probably match has got 48 overall. Lance obviously isn't super popular, but we brought Lance Storm in because he's going to be a big part of the plans going forward. And he's just a good wrestler in general, to be honest. But Bagwell, I wouldn't be totally upset if he handed his notice in and wanted to leave, but I'm not trying to force the issue. But I needed him to lose this match to set up the next segment, which is another really poor performance between these two. But Piper apologises profusely for costing Buff the match. Buff is angry, clenches his fist, but stops himself and says he forgives Piper, but if it happens again, the fist will be in his face. Pretty simple. We then have a kind of throwaway tag match. I had a bit of time to kill on the show, so quite late in the card actually, which might be a mistake. Filthy Animals, Ray and Kidman defeat the Mamalukes when Ray pins Big Vito. 43 overall. Johnny the Bull for 19, which isn't great. And then this is pretty bad. Not great before the main event, but a 33 as Mean Gene is with the Animals backstage, like after the break basically. And Conan does all the talking and says on Thunder there'll be an action again. He says it's a joke that WCW is filled to the brim with amazing cruiserweight talent and someone like Berlin is somehow the champion. But that will end soon. I don't really have a plan for the Animals. I'm kind of just using them week on week to keep them on TV. I have long-term plans for Ray. Kidman maybe less so. I just don't want to... I just put them in the Cruiserweight division and have them win the Cruiserweight title probably, but... We're thinking on the fly here. And in our main event match, we get a 63 as Sting defeats Meng in just under 8 minutes with the Scorpion and Deathlock. Sting with a good performance, Meng off his game. But a 63 is okay. We're realistically not going to get a great show rating here unless this next segment does absolute gangbusters. And it gets a 65. So I know the morale is obviously harming everything, but that's fine. After Sting's victory, he gets back on the mic and says it's time for Savage to get his ass out here. Savage appears once again in the crowd and says, no, that's not how this works. We're on Savage's time, and he promises that next Monday all will become clear. He's got the go-ahead for the master plan. Sting and DDP stand in the ring confused, keeping an eye on their surroundings as the show fades to black. Angle Idea was a success. And yes, next Monday, things will become clear. Ish. At least, for what Savage's great big master plan is. And hopefully it's good. That's the dream. But a 65 overall. The show gets a 64, which isn't great. It's not great, really. We've made just under 500,000 again. In our recap, we're continuing to go down in a lot of the US, which, I mean, it's just going to be what happens. Like, the morale is so bad at the moment in the company that we're just going to keep getting harmed by it until we can sort of turn the backstage atmosphere around, which might take quite a while. So, to me, we just need to stay at the size that we're at and go from there. Is my thing. We need to just ride the train as it's going here and not mess about. What happened on Raw? Who the hell are the Midnight Stars? Jericho and Kurt Angle, apparently. Okay. Interesting show. News, what happened? So, here we go. Total Package is back from injury. Benoit. Conan sells like crap. Yep. Drug test fees, 11 grand. Conan hates Vampiro. Mike Tenay was arguing with him, and so was Asia. Asia and Mike Tenay. Conan, really? Really? And we got 3 million viewers overall, which isn't too bad. We can live with that. Yeah. We've got 98 people on the roster. That's insane. Before I do anything though, Lance Storm. Oh yeah, he's gone up quite a bit. He's gone up about 6 points from that win everywhere, which is good stuff. Bagwell's only dropped a point or two here or there, so he's fine. He'll get over it. But yeah, I'm going to go do Thunder, and I'll be right back. Okay, it's time for Thunder, and I've just realised already that I've made a mistake. Oh god. A recap video is shown when of Savage saying I'll become clear next week from Nitro. I've put Roddy Piper in it. Yep. Okay, at least I got a 66 overall, but Jesus Christ, that's not a good start to the show, is it? Yeah, imagine this is Savage. Okay, moving on. The Revolution and Dustin Rhodes are then backstage and said tonight they'll watch each other's back, especially when the tag titles are on the line later. 34 overall, not great, but it's just a little set-up segment. We then have the Filthy Animals defeating the Blue Bloods when Billy Kidman pinned David Taylor with a shooting star press. And another good win for the Filthy Animals as we just continue to job Regal out, and Dave Taylor's a bit of a consequence of that, essentially. But realistically, do I have any plans for Dave Taylor? Not really. We then have Berlin post-match backstage with Mean Gene, and he says he just saw the Filthy Animals match and he's not surprised that ignorant idiot Conan said what he said on Nitro. Berlin will gladly take on either Ray or Kidman on Nitro and show them why he is superior. So setting up a match of some kind. We then have Mean Gene with Canyon backstage, and he says he accepts Vampiro's little challenge from Nitro because he's a real champion around here. That's pretty much it. Apparently it cooled the crowd a little bit. Oh, and the match wasn't good either. Oh no. 40 overall, they don't click. But Canyon does defeat Vampiro. Both guys with a real poor performance. That's a bad match. It makes it hard to push some of these guys when this is what you're looking at. Like, it's not great. But I love Canyon, so we're going to keep pushing Canyon. We then cut backstage to the NWO 2000. They are saying, maybe they should have a tune-up match before Monday. They've not actually wrestled as a 4-piece before. So maybe it'd be good to work out some ring rust. And Kevin Nash stands up and says, like, guys, don't worry. He'll make sure they've got the finest competition to face. And we come back from the break, and as you can see, their fine competition was Lash LaRue, Chavo Guerrero, Elix Skipper, and Jamie Howard. So the NWO 2000 win quite comfortably. It says 5 minutes. 5 minutes was the shortest match I could do for a 4-on-4, which was a bit of a shame. But gets the point across, and then after the match, the Revolution and Dustin Rhodes do come down and just chase away the NWO before they can do any further damage, setting up our big 8-man match on Nitro. And then, while they're in the ring, we might as well go right to the tag title match as the Revolution defeat the Varsity Club in 6.5 minutes with the Texas Cloverleaf, defence number 2 of the tag titles. The Varsity Club picked up a few wins on the B shows, so again, I'm kind of using the B shows as like to build up challengers for the throwaway title matches, if that makes sense. So, yeah. And then we go backstage as Sting and DDP are there, and all of a sudden Roddy Piper comes up with them with Buff Bagwell, easy for me to say, and says that they know they have a lot on their plate, but out of friendship, how about a tag match on Nitro? All 4 guys can watch each other's back, and it'll be a good test for Buff and Piper. Sting and DDP say they accept, as it'll be a nice change to have a little bit of friendly competition around here rather than just constantly on edge. Good little segment, 41 overall. We then have Sid backstage with Mean Gene, and he says, feels like people are forgetting who he is, so he's going to look forward to powerbombing someone tonight to remind everyone. And then, once again, he's incredibly unhappy. Phoned his performance, didn't try at all. It's every single Sid match I've booked now this has been the case. But he defeats the Demon in a minute and 45 with a powerbomb. Move on. Ric Flair then backstage runs into the total package, and he says, look, nothing physical happens, but even Package can't believe what a coward Flair was post-match last week. Flair says, look, I'll show you who a coward is, and I'll see you in the ring on Monday. package accepts, looks forward to it, and he goes on his own merry way with like a coffee or something silly, you know, like, can you imagine Package with his big fancy workout clothes on just wandering around. And then in what's technically our main event, because it's the last match of the show before the main event, well, it's not really an angle, it's like a small segment. Benoit defeats Eddie Guerrero to defend the title. Just because, again, Eddie's leaving, we might as well, again, use them to get some pop onto Benoit. I'll go away, Ted. I don't care that Eddie Guerrero's got a new psychology spot. And then our main event angle is Savage in the rafters saying he hopes everyone's enjoyed the show, because Monday night you will not want to miss what he has planned. 64 overall. The show gets a pretty rotten 59. Thunder still remains a problem to book. We've barely made any money, and but it's just like, let's ignore Thunder exists. But I thought it was a decent build-up show, because it's helped put plans forward for Nitro. I actually spent a few minutes booking the big thing I want to do on Nitro for a pre-booked angle, so I can just slot it in when I record that show, which is pretty good planning on my part. Looking forward to it. I don't know how it's going to go down. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a really fun idea. But I can imagine if it happened in the year 2000, there'd be a lot of groaning from the crowd and from the online fans at the time as well. I can imagine a big segment in the Observer saying what a rubbish idea this was, etc. But I think it's a fun idea, and I hope you do as well. But that's it for Nitro and Thunder this week. This episode is wrapped up as well. Hopefully it's around 20 odd minutes. Apologies if the mic quality isn't the best. I'm looking at OBS, and it's sort of, when I'm not speaking, it's already like at the low decibel point, so I think it might be quite hissy. Apologies if I'm trying to work on the audio. I've got a really cheap microphone for like 5 years ago that I'm using, so it is what it is at the moment, I'm afraid. But thanks so much for watching though. Again, keep the support going. Let me know what you think Savage's grand plan is for Nitro. Answers on the postcard. And hit like, hit subscribe, what you are all doing anyway. Greatly appreciated. Really, really thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in a few days' time to find out what the hell Macho's plan actually is. And also, eventually, how much money have we lost this month? Because it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all, folks. Let's just look at that as we close the episode. Okay, thanks for watching, and goodbye.